dedicated her professional career to work for working families and military families that are pursuing the American dream and working with immigrant organizations. And no one would have denied her time at home after having her fourth baby, but yet she felt called as this was not something she could sit out. And as I say, I was lucky to be taking a shower at this point after having a baby, and this woman is out on the campaign trail, so very excited for Kathy. And Lee, who I've gotten to know very well, running in the 50th district. He is running in a district that is so hungry for change, and he is just the candidate that meets that requirement. He is a champion of the working people, of people who desperately need health care, and of people who are tired of their delegate being in the pocket of the corporate interests. So I'd like to give each of them just a quick moment to speak.
Well, thank you all for coming today. It's just really wonderful to have this level of support, and I think the work that you're doing is really important to help us make sure that we're reaching out to all the voters in the 42nd District and letting them know what's at stake on November 7th. Just a little bit about myself and why I've been inspired to run. I came to this country as a refugee from Vietnam when I was almost 2 years old. And at the end of that war, my parents wanted to make sure that they were raising their family in a country that offers hope, opportunity, and freedom. And I made the decision to run in this race because those values that my parents had risked their lives for are under threat today. So I'm a mom of 4, and that's our youngest, Elise, bouncing around right there. And I'm the president of the PTA of my elementary school, so making sure that the state increases its investment into our public school system so that all of our kids have a chance to thrive and compete in the global economy is one of my top priorities. I've also dedicated my entire career, as Chris said, helping other Americans get the skills they need to succeed in their own careers. I was a civil servant at the U.S. Department of Labor, and there I got to shape national workforce policies. So helping, for example, veterans transition from the military to the civilian workforce, and helping military spouses grow their careers as they move from place to place. I want to take that expertise to Richmond and make sure that when we grow our economy, we're not leaving anybody behind, that we're investing in the workforce so that we're able to have people get into jobs with good benefits and good wages for all. And lastly, it's really important that we safeguard our most fundamental rights, access to health care and critical reproductive health services for women, and making sure that we are welcoming and inclusive, remaining a beacon of hope for immigrant and refugee families like my own. And my husband and kids are Jewish, our neighbors are Muslim, and our friends are African American and LGBTQ. I think so many of us feel vulnerable given what's happening across this country right now. And it's important that we fight for that inclusive Commonwealth. And I worked in immigration advocacy, and I want to take that passion to Richmond and be able to advocate on behalf of all Virginians. So I'll tell you a quick story about this baby. So I was due with her on Inauguration Day, and so you can imagine how my husband and I felt after the election, after having that be our big day. But we wanted to make sure that our baby's name reflected our values. So we named her Elise Minkan. Elise was inspired by Ellis Island. Matt has family that passed through Ellis Island as they were searching for opportunity in America and escaping anti-Semitism at the turn of the century. And Minkan is Vietnamese for bright bell, so that was inspired by the Liberty Bell. So her name means to us to ring the bells of liberty and champion opportunity for all. I had given her such an aspirational name and realized that I couldn't just sit on the sidelines, right? The moment is now to stand up for my kids and their future, and I'm just so thrilled to have this chance to represent the 42nd District. And thank you again so much for being here and helping us reach these voters, and please come out and join us to help get out the vote in the next 2 weekends. It's going to be the most critical, important times in our campaign to make sure that all the hard work we've been putting into this race really pays off on November 7th. So thank you all so much.
All right, so my name's Lee Carter. I'm the Democratic Party's nominee for the 50th District out in Manassas and Bristow. And I was motivated to run for office by a workplace injury. I had to deal with the Virginia Workers' Compensation Commission, and my experience was so horrible that I thought, I can't let this happen to anyone else. So after 3 months of not being able to walk more than 50 feet, when I was finally able to walk again, I said, I'm not just going to walk, I'm going to run for something, and I'm going to make life better for the 8.5 million people that call Virginia home. Now that was a little bit before the election of 2016. I don't know if you remember back when we were worried about what a Jeb Bush presidency might look like. It's been a little while. It's been 2 years worth of work. But what's driven me through that is seeing people come together and fight for a Virginia where everyone can live and work and not have to worry about how they're going to put food on the table, not have to worry about how they're going to make the rent, and not have to worry about whether they're one injury or illness away from financial disaster. So what I know is that if we go out there and we spread that shared message, we can get people excited. We can get them fired up to go to the polls on November 7th and vote for a better future for everyone that calls Virginia home. And if we do that, I promise you, the other 49 states are going to have to follow our example next year. So this is bigger than just this room. This is bigger than just Virginia. This is about creating momentum to make the country better. So what y'all are doing is vitally important. Thank you so much for coming out. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the secretary.
Just a quick introduction.
Oh, all right.
We thank you, former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Julián Castro, for being here with us. We remember you fondly in a far away, better time. A world far, far away that we wish was here now. But we can't thank you enough for coming here yourself and bringing your resources and opportunity first and shining a light on Virginia, the only state in 2017 that has 100 seats up for grabs and a chance to flip a chamber blue. So we are desperate for that focus and attention, and we thank you for shining your light on Virginia.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much, and good evening to everybody. You know, it is quite a pleasure to be here. Now, y'all might wonder, why is a Texas Democrat here home banking and helping in Virginia? Number one, first of all, to Kathy, that I know is running in the 42nd district for delegate, and to Lee, that is running in the 50th. America is watching you right now. With the crazy time that we're going through in national politics, it's easy to forget that there are candidates and there are places that really are about the positive values that we want to espouse as a nation in public service. As Kathy mentioned, about opportunity, about creating the freedom for folks to live the kind of lives that they want to live, about uniting people instead of dividing people. And for me, I have a twin brother, Joaquin, and Joaquin likes to say that the way to tell us apart is that I'm a minute uglier than he is. But the real thing is that I'm a minute older, and we both went into public service early. And we went into public service because we had grown up in the public schools of San Antonio on the west side of the city with our mother and our grandmother. And we felt very, very blessed in our own lives with opportunity. And we wanted to use our time and our talent to make sure that other people could have the same opportunities in life that we did, that they could reach their American dream. And so I'm here because I'm excited that in Kathy and in Lee, we have two candidates that, number one, are honest, they have integrity, that believe in creating opportunity for other people, that are going to serve other people and not serve themselves, that are going to work to unite people and understand that, okay, even when people disagree with you, there may be ways to find common ground and to be productive in public service. I think that we need that more than ever these days. And as much as all of us, I know, all the time we turn on cable news or get on Twitter or the internet and we're taken up by national politics, and how could y'all not, because we're in DC and y'all are right outside. But the truth is that what happens in state government in some ways is even more impactful than what happens in DC, especially these days. You talk about education funding, you talk about infrastructure funding, you talk about health and human services, redistricting that influences who gets into Congress in the first place and makes our national policy. And my twin, Joaquin, served in the Texas legislature for 5 terms. And so I get to hear the stories of how both satisfying and rewarding it can be, but also how challenging it is sometimes. But all of it is worth it, because at the end of the day, I know that y'all, when you get elected, are going to focus your public service on how you can help other people achieve their dreams. And that's why I'm here and very happy to support you. And I want to thank y'all for being here. I want to give a shout out to Francie Youngberg, who helped on my end to set this up. For those of you who have been working on the campaign, volunteering on the campaign, there is consistent research that demonstrates, and and it makes sense, that the more personal contact at the door or on the phone that you have with people, the more likely that person is to support you. And that's basic, right? It makes sense. But it's also something that's about hard work in the campaign. I know that it's crunch time. I know that a poll came out today that gave our hearts a little bit of flutter in the governor's race. The silver lining in that is that it means that it's a wake-up call, that we can't take this election for granted. Whether it's in a district in Northern Virginia or the entire Commonwealth, the only state that says Commonwealth, the Commonwealth of Virginia, what you're doing matters. Your effort matters. And so thank you very much. Gracias. Because it makes a difference. Okay? Thank you.
I tell you, I love hearing it.